Apparently, there's a war on home ownership going on right now. You got this company right here, BlackRock, apparently buying up all the single family homes around the country. People getting foreclosed on, and this company's paying over asking price. Crazy thing is about this company is they're also building studios. They're building a studio in the UK, and they're building a studio in somewhere in Southern California. Is it Pasadena or somewhere over there close to LA? Yeah, these companies apparently have bottomless pockets, have more money than they know what to do with. They're buying up all the homes. One of the most expensive things is property and homes and businesses and building. And these guys are paying over asking price for a lot of properties. And they're building their own studios. Something crazy's going on. Okay, the article says the Great Reset is a multifaceted beast. Remember, they want you to own nothing and be happy. If you look at, what is it, the World Economic Forum website, apparently they have an article that says, or a video that says you're going to own nothing and be happy in the future. It says right at the top of that list, things you definitely shouldn't own is your own home. The headlines about this have been steady for the last few years, but it's picked up pace in the wake of the pandemic, as has so much else. The hidden agenda, the back pages, behind COVID's meaningless big red numbers, but perhaps no less sinister. You can find all over the net articles all over the net talking up renting over owning. Bloomberg had an article that said America should become a nation of renters, which praises what they call the liquefaction of the housing market and gleefully expounds on the idea that the very features that made home buying an affordable and stable investment are coming to an end. The Atlantic, why it's better to rent than own. Financial Pages, Business Insider to Forbes, and Yahoo and Bloomberg are filled with its 9 ways renting is better than buying. Other publications go more personal with it, ignoring financial advice and refusing to buy your own home. Vox has one titled, Homeownership Can Bring Out the Worst in You, which literally argues that buying a house can make you a bad person. It's the biggest thing you might ever buy, and it could be turning you into a bad person. So, this article here is saying it's all comes out down to greed, and it's about control. They're trying to control our lives. They don't want us to think differently. They don't want us to act differently. It's mental slavery. Do as we say, not as we do. Major investment firms such as Vanguard and BlackRock, along with rental companies such as American Homes for Rent, are buying up single-family homes in record number, sometimes entire neighborhoods at a time. They pay well over market value, pricing families who want to own these homes out of the market, which forces the housing market up, whilst the lockdown-created recession is lowering wages and creating millions of newly unemployed. So there you go. They're buying up all the homes above asking price. Of course, this is motivating people to sell the houses they already own. People across America have been saddled with houses worth less than they bought them for since 2008 and are eager to take the cash from private investment firms, paying 10 to 20% over market value. Combine an economic recession with a created housing boom, and you have a huge population of motivated sellers. Of course, many of these sellers don't realize until it's too late that even if they attempt to downsize or move to a cheaper area, they may be priced out of the market completely and forced to rent. So it's like he who has the gold makes the rules, and these companies have all the gold. They have all the money. How do they get it? Who knows? They probably create it out of thin air. As such, in the last year, the private investment share of single-family home purchases is estimated to have increased tenfold, going from 2% in 2018 to over 20% this year. And the more people are forced to rent, the higher the rent prices will increase as well. Rent has increased over 3 times faster than the government predicted, and it's always likely to get worse in the near future. Maybe it's time to get into real estate. Get your RV, get out there and live on the road. So this talks about how they failed to extend the eviction ban, but I think it has been extended into October. So this is saying senators adjourn to the summer homes they probably don't rent. The ban will officially end and a lot of people are likely to have their houses foreclosed. But I think it's already been extended, so none of this is any secret. It's been covered in the mainstream. The Wall Street Journal headline back in April, if you sell a house these days, the buyer might be a pension fund. Yield-chasing investors are snapping up single-family homes, competing with ordinary Americans and driving up prices. The propaganda machine is kicked into gear to defend Wall Street from any backlash. No better example of this can be found in The Atlantic that ran this story in 2019, when Wall Street is your landlord. With help from the federal government, institutional investors became major players in the rental market. They promised to return profits to their investors and convenience to their tenants. Investors are happy, tenants are not. And a story from last month. BlackRock is not ruining the U.S. housing market. The real villain isn't a faceless Wall Street Goliath. It's your neighbors and local governments stopping the construction of new units. And on Vox, Wall Street isn't to blame for the chaotic housing market. So there you go. You have all these articles and mainstream magazines and newspapers, obviously owned by the same 3 companies, probably BlackRock themselves. And they're creating the narrative. The article continues, you see, all the selfish people who already own homes, they did say it makes you a bad person, are blocking the construction of new houses and thus driving the cost of property through scarcity. So that's what they do. They like to put the blame on the blameless, the people who shouldn't be blamed. It's like when you go out to eat and the server who doesn't get paid a livable wage, they put the anger on the customer instead of who should the blame go to? The owner. The owner should pay a livable wage. The anger shouldn't be directed at the customer. It should be directed at the owner. But that's what they do with everything, and that's what they're doing here. They put the blame on people who shouldn't be blamed. They deflect. It's called deflecting, folks. The reason for that is the same reason that California has massive homeless camps in its major cities, and that so many people are having to become renters instead of owners. Wage stagnation. That's who they're deflecting from. That's what they're deflecting from. For decades now, wage increases have lagged behind increases in the cost of living. In the 60s, one full-time job could afford a decent standard of living for a family of 4 or more. These days, both parents work, sometimes multiple jobs each. They still can't get by. So this isn't just about money. It never is. Just as the war on cash isn't just about efficiency and the environmental push isn't just about climate change. It's about control, just like vaccines, lockdowns, and masks. It always comes down to control. In short, a homeowner is independent. A renter is not. A renter can be controlled. A homeowner cannot. It's the same reasoning behind the way working people were encouraged to take out loans and become debt slaves. If you limit people's options, if you make them rely on you for a roof over their heads, you have control over them. Less freedom. Under feudalism, Land wasn't owned by the working class, but provided to them by landed barons. Hence the term landlord. If you disrespect your lord or broke his rules, or he perceived another present farm animal crop would be better use of the land, he could take it back. Essentially, the behavior of serfs was kept in check by their reliance on the nobility for a place to live. That's very much the dynamic they're going for here. Rent agreements can be full of any terms and conditions the landlord wants, and the more desperate people get, the more their consumer rights they will sign over. Maybe you will agree to smart meters which monitor your internet or power usage habits and then sell the data. Maybe you'll have to agree to certain power limitations or water shortages. Maybe it'll get worse than that. Maybe they'll go full Black Mirror style corporate dystopia. Maybe through affiliation programs, the mega equity firm which owns your rental house has ties to McDonald's, and so such will require you to not eat at any competing fast food franchises or demand you observe at least 90 seconds of Disney advertisements per day. Maybe they just want to make poor people miserable. After all, the super wealthy have got all the money they could ever need and all the luxury they can ever use. Their living standards are as high as physically possible, so maybe the only way they can keep winning is to start driving the living standards of us proles down. No air travel, no vacations, no going out at all. Live in a tiny house or a pod, eat bugs, get rid of your car, rent your clothes or your furniture, pay taxes on sugar and alcohol and red meat. They've been very clear about this. They've told you about the Great Reset and the Internet of Things. That's the plan. You won't own a house and you'll be happy, or else the mega corporations you're forced to rent from will kick you out. There you have it, folks. Is that the real agenda at play here? It sounds like it could be. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thanks for watching. God bless. Have a great day.